teaching and her daughter Susanna. We'd like to welcome you and thank you for coming on this occasion. It, of course, is a sad time for all of us because a loved one, a friend, Ali, passed away on October the 19th. She was only 49 years old. Ali was born in China. She lived in Beijing, still has some family there. Her education primarily was there in China. Briefly after her graduation there, she taught mathematics in college. And then she was selected, among others, to pursue a foreign language career. And so she moved to Canada, where she lived, and she studied French as well as English. Was quite fluent in both languages. In college, though, in Beijing, she had met Dong Fangqin. And while she went to Canada, Dong went to Japan to pursue education and a career. But in 1986, that's 24 years ago, they married. And they lived in Japan for a time. Dong says that her Japanese was pretty good, along with her French and English and, of course, Chinese. Eventually, they moved back to Canada, where in 1993, Susanna was born. And then about 10 years ago, Dong and Yao Li and Susanna moved here to the Atlanta area. Yao Li exhibited many admirable qualities. A very commendable one was her concern for and her interest in her family. As an example, when Susanna was very young and just growing up, Yao Li felt that it was more important to stay home and provide for the needs of her daughter than it was to pursue a lucrative career outside the home. She discerned that time and attention are the most valuable gifts any parent can give their children. And as a result, Yao Li and Susanna have always enjoyed a warm and close relationship. She told a friend that something that began shortly after their move to Atlanta greatly contributed to her feelings about family life and her responsibility. She said at that time, not long after they moved here, she began to study the Bible. Now, Jehovah's Witnesses in the Atlanta area use about 20-something different languages endeavoring to teach people about the Bible in their mother tongue, and that included Chinese. Now, Yao Li, in her growing up and in all her education in China, had not been exposed to the teachings, the actual teachings in the Bible, although of course she knew of the Bible's existence, as all educated people do. But she said as she began to study in detail what the Bible actually says, she said one topic that really impressed her was what the Bible has to say about family life. Detailed advice and counsel on how to be a good wife, a good husband, good parents, good child, and what specifically each one can do to fulfill their individual role in a family and contribute to the peace and security of the family. She said that as she began to personally apply in her own role as wife and mother, to try to apply the principles that she was reading in the Bible, she could see what a positive effect it had in the family. But there was more. she said that she appreciated not just the comments about family life, but she appreciated the high moral principles and the upright standard of conduct that the Bible promotes. She realized that the teachings in the Bible really have great power to help one to even make changes in their personality and the way they view things, all for the better. In fact, she told one friend, this was some years ago, she told one friend that, I think that I have in a number of ways changed. And I said, well, in what way? What do you mean? And she said, well, for instance, I think I'm more patient now than I was at one time. And that I'm more willing to see others' points of view, and I'm developing some of the qualities that I've read in the Bible. Very interesting, isn't it? And I know that many people who are students of the Bible, and probably some of you are, remember this verse. It's in Colossians chapter 3, and it lists some of the qualities that the Bible promotes and some that she treasured. But here's what it says. This is Colossians 3, beginning at verse 12. It says, accordingly, as God's chosen ones, holy and loved, clothe yourselves with the tender affections of compassion, kindness, lowliness of mind, mildness, and long-suffering. Continue putting up with one another and forgiving one another freely, if anyone has a cause for complaint against another. Even as Jehovah freely forgave you, so do you also. But besides all these things, clothe yourselves with love, for it is a perfect bond of union. And it goes on in the verses below that to describe still other qualities of the heart, qualities of the personality that we all hold dear. And so Yali was not just a casual student of the Bible. She was a serious student of the Bible. As time went on, this also motivated her to begin to attend Christian meetings with Jehovah's Witnesses right here in this Kingdom Hall. And her knowledge of the Bible continued to grow. She often made very meaningful comments at these meetings about certain scriptures that were under consideration. And privately, she expressed that her desire was to become one of Jehovah's Witnesses, follow the example of Jesus Christ, and help other people to understand and appreciate the value of the Bible.